What is up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima, and today we're finally going to talk about Bayonetta 3. We're going to talk about Bayonetta 3 in all of its glory, all of its controversy, and maybe we'll talk about the actual game itself. But I don't know, that's kind of a novel idea at this point, isn't it? Anyway, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you're one of the OGs, please hit that like button for me. And if you don't like the video, go ahead and hit the like button as well. And if you don't like me at all, still hit the subscribe button because I need it. Anyway, on to Bayonetta 3. So, Bayonetta 3 has been a point of contention and attention before the game even came out. And this all started with the voice actor from Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2, Helena Taylor, claiming that Platinum Games had lowballed her and only offered her like $4,000. But when the truth came out, they had actually offered her closer to $15,000 to potentially $25,000. And they even offered her quite a large sum for doing one day work. Now, however you feel about that situation is whatever, but I think we can all appreciate the fact that Helena Taylor lied, and it's just not cool, especially because there's a lot of people who did a lot of hard work to make this game come around, and to kind of just spit in the face of all of those people, it's just really messed up. Not to mention all of the people who have been Bayonetta fans and have been just counting down the days until this game finally came out, and then she drops that bomb. I don't think it's cool. But Miss Taylor wasn't done. In fact, she went ahead and did a virtue signaling message on Twitter where she tried to do a little bit of call to arms and thank everybody who boycotted Bayonetta 3, and then she conveniently put that she had put in a lot of her money into these charities, and these 14 charities, with one of them being connected to a pro-life fund that is also related to a neo-Nazi group, so that's always good. If you thought that was it, you'd be wrong, because I recently read an article that was published by Screen Rant, and I want to be clear, I don't know if this is Screen Rant's thoughts or if they just published it. And it was an opinion piece, but it basically stated that the LGBTQ community was very upset with Bayonetta 3 because Bayonetta doesn't actually hook up with Jean. I don't know, I think it's all anecdotal, and obviously whatever I say on that is going to be anecdotal as well, but I have a lot of friends who are in the LGBTQ community, and all of them love Bayonetta 3, that game. Most of them actually don't care about Bayonetta 3, but the actual gamers, they love it, and they've not said anything about that. So I don't know, I don't know if that's clout chasing or what that is. But now that we're finally out of the woods of controversy, let's talk about the actual game. So this is a game that I wasn't going to pick up at first, but honestly, some of the attention from this quote-unquote bad press actually had a lot of people talking to me about Bayonetta. And it was actually my friend Trotty who was like, dude, this game is very much like Astral Chain, which I absolutely love Astral Chain. I immediately decided, oh, I need to pick this up. And one of the subscribers, good friend in the community, Key-chan, told me don't give up on doing AAA titles, do AAA titles. So if Key-chan is not involved in this one, doesn't give me a like, doesn't, put a comment down there, then I'm blaming you for this one bombing and me spending a lot of money on a AAA title. I'm just kidding, I don't care. But I might have if this game wasn't so cool. Now, I want to start off at the place that I'm most confused with this game, and that is the story itself. You could ask me what's going on, and I would say I have no damn idea. I've been playing this game for, it seems like forever, and I still really have no idea what's going on in the story. I've had a friend explain to me, I've watched summaries of Bayonetta 1 and 2, and they seemed rather chronological, and as you're playing Bayonetta 3, especially for a first-timer, none of that lines up with Bayonetta 2. Like, it doesn't continue where it was at. In fact, at the end of Bayonetta 2, there's actually an angel attack, and pretty much every Bayonetta it starts and ends with an angel attack, but that's not happening in Bayonetta 3. And in fact, I would say till about half of the game, maybe even a little bit more than half the game, it doesn't really make sense with the storyline, and it's incredibly difficult to actually say without ruining stuff. But I'll say this, that your main enemy is created by a group called Singular. And these are kind of man-made, they're a bioweapon, but they're infiltrating Tokyo when the game starts. And this leads to you playing different versions of Bayonetta, you going into different timelines, you jumping around back and forth, which I think is actually pretty cool in a way. Again, for story purposes, it doesn't really help, but it's really cool to see like the version of ancient China being attacked by these bioweapons, and you actually fighting on the Great Wall and doing a lot of cool stuff like that, as well as just seeing different versions of Bayonetta is actually pretty interesting too. But again, the story is about as clear as brown water. And it really, even at the end, it sort of doesn't really tie in. It's not satisfying as far as the story goes, but it's not really why you play Bayonetta. Because ultimately, I would be lying to you if I said that I actually really cared that much about the story as I was playing. It was a means to an end. You know, why go to point B when I'm at point A? Well, this is why. And that was all I needed, really. I'm sure there's some people who are like really into Bayonetta 3 who are going to get all of it, and, you know, they're going to understand all the like little hints at this and that, and just other little hidden things in the game. But for me, the star of the show is definitely the combat. And there was about 3, maybe 4 different modes of combat. There's the type of combat that we're used to, you know, the open movement kind of combat where you're using combos and, you know, you're able to actually summon demons in this game, and so you can use them as part of your combos, or you can just summon them and have them fight alongside you while you control them. But that's more like your traditional style of combat. Then there's also, and namely with Jean, but there is an ability to kind of do almost a side-scrolling, maybe Metroidvania style combat. Think of the game Elevator, if you remember it. It's a really, really old game, and I honestly shouldn't even know about it, but I do. But it's kind of like that, but you can, you know, sneak into like ductwork, and you can do stealth kills. In fact, you don't basically have to in that version. And then there's like a Titan battle mode where you can summon gigantic versions of your demon to fight gigantic versions of these bioweapons. And that combat is kind of stiff, but is basically rock, paper, scissors. You know, one move is going to beat the other, is going to beat the other, is going to beat the other. And you're kind of just focusing on watching the enemy give out subtle hints at what their move is going to be until you try to counter it before they can actually make their move. I actually really enjoyed this style of combat just because I love like big monsters fighting. It just kind of puts me in place of like old school Rampage or, you know, Titans, and just, I don't know, it's fun. But I will say the performance in that is a little slow, but I'm not sure if it's the performance or if it's just the fact that it would maybe look a little cartoony if the giant monsters were really fast. I don't know. It feels right. That's what I can say, is it feels right. And not only is combat incredibly fun and combos are really insane to pull off. By the way, Trotty is going to give me a video at some point on the combos, which will be cool to upload, and just kind of, he explores and explains a lot of different combos. But there's also a lot of customization, and some of this is just purely cosmetic, but other parts of this are actually more in line with our RPGs, where they actually make a significant and permanent difference to your character and even to your summon, which is pretty cool. And this can be from increasing stats, your skills, adding different skills or moves, adding to your combos, permanently increasing like your health, your attack, things like that. Basically think of like the way that you can use a skill tree in an RPG, and this game has that, which I really enjoy and appreciate, but I also do like the cosmetic stuff as well. Like, it's cool how you can actually change her like hair color or her clothes, and it stays throughout the cutscenes and stuff. You can just kind of have fun with it, and I think it's kind of cool, kind of fun, as well as some of the other artifacts you can find, which are kind of interesting, especially if you're not that familiar with the world like I am. It's kind of cool to see some of that stuff. Now, the big thing that everyone wanted to talk about with Bayonetta, though, aside from which voice actor did this or which fictionalized digital character slept with who, the other big part was performance and graphics. Like, how does this game look? I actually think it looks really good. I know that there's a number of people who say that this is probably the weakest point of the game, and they may not be wrong. I mean, it doesn't look super impressive. It doesn't look like a PS5 or a Series or even probably a high-end PS4, but it still looks really good for what it is. Now, I played mostly in handheld OLED. That's just how I play. And I really wasn't put off by the graphics. I thought for as expansive as the world is, for as much combat, for as many enemies, the game actually looked and performed well. I didn't notice anything that really took me out of the game. I understand like Digital Foundry said that the game looked unpolished and it had some issues. I don't know if I agree with that. I think it's fine, that's their opinion, but for me personally, I really enjoyed what the game offered, and I felt like it was fully finished and it looked done to me. But I'm not a stickler on games being perfect, and I also play a lot of indie games, so looking at a AAA title, going from playing an indie game, it's gonna be a giant upgrade to me anyway, and I don't play a lot of like next-gen console games, and I'm not like I'm not the gatekeeper when it comes to these kind of things, because as long as it plays fine and looks good, I enjoy it. I don't really see there being an issue. Obviously, I'm going to note when the frame rate drops drastically, or there's a lot of lag. But this game had none of that. So whatever. People are going to have their thoughts. I actually think that the performance for me was something that I would compare akin to like Astral Chain, which I thought played really well. The other aspect of this game that a lot of people are talking about is the sound. And let's be clear here. I'm not a guy who really goes into sound or music or any of that. In fact, most of the time, I have my Switch turned completely on mute while I'm playing, which I know is crazy, right? But it makes sense for me the way I play. But for this game, I really enjoyed the music. I thought the soundtrack was spot on. This is like a soundtrack that I would probably listen to, not even gaming. Like, just have on while, I don't know, I'm driving or whatever, cleaning the house or whatever you do to listen to music. But I would actually probably rock that outside of the game. I was thoroughly impressed with the soundtrack. And as I went through and reviewed this game, checked all the boxes, looked through all the processes, I can't really say that there was anything bad about the game. Yes, the graphics are not perfect. They're not great. They're probably not even the best on the Nintendo Switch. And I'll agree to that. I thought the game might be too, overly sexualized, because it kind of comes off that way. And not that I'm a prude, but for me, that kind of bugs me. It's just annoying to me. But it's not even that. I don't even know what people are talking about with that. Yeah, and performance-wise, you said, is there a little bit of, let's say, drop in and, maybe a little bit of frame rate drop? Yeah, but you don't notice it. You really don't. If you're just playing the game and having fun, you don't notice it. Yeah, if you've got it hooked up to something and you're monitoring, yeah, you're probably going to see some instability, but just playing it, you really don't notice. I didn't really have much bad things to say about it, which I think is crazy because this is a game I wasn't even going to pick up. If anyone would have a bias to not like this game, probably be me. Because I'm coming in completely blind, nothing about the story, and the story is not explained at all. And for me, I guess maybe that would be the downside, is the story. In some ways, I would like a little bit more motivation or encouragement to actually care about Bayonetta and her friends, and, I don't really. I understood the story from watching other things, but it really doesn't explain anything to you, at least until late game, and even then, you kind of have to have taken a Bayonetta class to understand a lot of it. Luckily for the game, the story doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It didn't affect me in any negative way that I didn't know much about it, because I just enjoyed playing the game. The game offers a lot, and I appreciated all of that. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on Bayonetta 3. Are you picking it up? Did the controversies kind of scare you away? Is the price kind of scare you away from it? I want, any of all of your thoughts. What games are you playing? What game are you looking forward to? But anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you, and like always, wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy, because you make me happy. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Good Lord. Man, I don't know if I'm getting old or my lungs just suck.